The wrong week to quit sniffing glue. Always with you, what cannot be done.
Welcome, it is the 21st of August, and it's time for another weekend of model building. The sound you hear in the background is the sound of an order of vinyl being plotted, so I will not be in here tonight. I will be out in the other rooms. I've got all of this big order to put together, so that's gonna cut into my modeling time this weekend, but luckily I've got a fairly simple project on the books, and that is the R2 and the R5D4. I would say snap together because you really don't need a lot of glue, but they are the Bandai kits, and they're very well engineered, and I can't wait to jump into them and show you some pluses and some minuses with these. So let's get to it. Hello, I know it's early in the week, it's Wednesday still, but I'm going to be working on these two droids this weekend, and there's a couple things I wanted to do in advance of that, and that is to paint some of these pieces so that they're nice and dry by then. The kit is very good at giving you these decals, but these blue bits here are ever so tiny, and it'd be just as easy to paint those as anything else right now. So they are the four that, you can see it here, the four that go around that shape right there. So I just painted that blue, and let me see where are the rest. Those little bits there that need to be blue, and those bits there need to be blue. And I figured I'd just go ahead and paint those now and save myself the trouble of trying to fit decals over those. So that's it for tonight. Okay, here are all the massive parts that go together to make the R2 and the R5. And like the 3PO kit, this is molded in numerous colors of plastic, which is all well and good, except for one thing, and that is the silver that they've chosen, which is great. I like it a lot for the small parts. It's beautiful. Where it falls short, though, is in the R2. Where it falls short, though, is in R2's dome. Because, and for only one reason, it's not one part. There's a seam going right through there. And like I say, these kits, you could mostly fit them together without using any glue and you would be fine. But that seam there, focus, come on. That seam there is going to require some glue. And I don't know if you can tell or not, but there is that one there. There's also a little bit of a cat's eye thing going on in the plastic itself that it's like a swirl. It's a swirl in the silver metallic styrene, which is not attractive to me. So I've come up with a quandary. Do I paint it? Well, I really, excuse me, I really don't want to go down that path because, like I say, 99% of this kit is ready to go right out of the box. You don't need to paint it. Now, if I introduce paint to one part of it, it's really going to start sticking out if I don't paint more of it. Now, those little blue bits notwithstanding, there is, let's see if I can find it. Yeah, there's just the tiniest of blue paint on those parts there rather than using the tiny blue decals. But on these larger pieces, I really don't want to introduce paint. So I'm going to take that apart and sand that seam as best I can and see if it needs touching up after I'm done with that or not, or can I get away with simply painting the dome and no other parts of R2. That's going to be the trick. And the second thing is working on the bodies. Luckily there's two bodies here, so if I screw up on one I can switch over to the other. But getting these little panel lines to show up, which are not there. I mean, the panel lines are there, but they're not painted in the raw plastic. Here's what the raw plastic looks like. And without painting these, you've got two or three options. I could use the famous smoke technique on the Comart smoke or a Tamiya smoke or anything like that. What this basically is simply a little bit of Higgins ink on a brush, brushed over it, and then wiped off with a Q-tip. Now it also has halves to worry about, but those are hidden underneath where the arms are going to be, so you really don't have to worry about those seams showing. There are seams in R5's head, top and bottom of that I'm going to have to see how intrusive those are to see whether or not they are going to have to be sanded or puttied or anything like that. So early days yet, but what I'm going to do is start putting common pieces together, like all of the sets of legs that go together at one time that use the same parts. I could just do that and then kind of weather them as I go. But I'm really liking how that looks. I think what I need to do now is hit it with a satin finish to kind of lock those colors, or lock that in so I don't continually smear off more ink while I'm waiting for it to dry. Welcome back. It's Saturday morning and I'm working continuously on the two droids kits, and I'm looking ahead to what I'm going to do as far as display. And I pulled out one of these sound cards that I had gotten a while ago for the Lost in Space robot, and I bought a bunch of them while I had the web page up because, you know, why not. And I've downloaded some sounds for the bass that I'm going to use, and I like the choices I've got so far. Let's see. Yeah, good, nice. Now I'm going to do something to put a cone over this speaker to amplify it. I've tried it out with like a paper cone and a plastic cone, and it does make the sound better. So I'm going to build that into the bass. But I wanted to get that out of the way first before I start tackling this pile. Okay, it's Saturday close to noon. And because, you know me, 2 projects is never enough, I went out to mail some stuff. Obviously, I had to get an order out and another special request out in the mail, and they needed to do that before noon. So that's done. But while I was in the neighborhood, I stopped by Michael's, and I found a couple of these wooden boxes, which I think will be nice. What I'm going to do with this particular one is going to go with Yoda, and I'm going to age it and paint it up and stain it a darker color. Maybe remove these pirate-looking things. Put a different type of clasp on there. But basically, it's going to be a sound box for this card. You saw the one with the droids, and oops. And that's the one for the droids, because that's a droid sound. But this one is set up for Yoda.
Size, do you? No. Why not? You. Looking. That's what you have, I would say. You must feel the force around you. Did you mean by my size, do you? With 900 years old, you're reaching good as good. You were not.
Okay, but what I'm going to do is secure that inside this little box. And some of this plastic tube, or actually this is inside roll for printer paper. I'm going to use that as a sound chamber for the speaker and drill some holes in the side and make a little sound box for it, put some buttons on it for the controls. But when you put, try to do all this with one hand, when you put this sound, this tube over the speaker, it really amplifies the sound quite nicely. So that's job 2, and I got a long box here that will be long enough. I'm not going to be able to use all of the plastic bases that come with the kits for the droids, because that will make it just a little bit too long, I think. I have to double check, but I think it's going to make it too long. But I can certainly attach them straight down to the top of the base here, and I'm going to paint the top of this at least with that sand paint that I like so much, so that it looks like the scene outside of the sandcrawler where the 3 droids were all in the same scene together. So that that'll be fun. So let's get on with the building of these guys. And I don't know whether you saw it since last night or not, or whether I showed it. You have no choice but to see it, but whether I showed it. But that's the ink staining on the panel lines. And then after that's all done and built, I will take a little bit of that brown calm art that I used on 3PO here to age him up, and I'm going to use that on the droids to give them that desert fresh look. Well, this might surprise you to know, but I was wrong about something. Yes, it happens all the time. These three bases are just about the exact size of this box. Lovely. I don't know whether to put them just on the bottom like that. I think I'm going to need the extra height to get the speaker tube in there, so lovely. Didn't have to worry about that. Okay, we've got one leg done, and that's one little compact piece of engineering. I gotta tell you, so many parts that go to make that up, it's surprising. But everything is there, and it does the little... I did use some 10X just on spots that I thought could use the extra reinforcement. It's not necessary. This is a pretty good press fit kit. But some parts I thought, you know, why not? So let's go do this 3 more times. Okay, it's time for the customary chaos of a work table. Here we've got all of the legs of both droids done and kind of sitting in the way. And before I get into the body, I kind of switched gears for a little bit and started working on the sound box for Yoda, which I've painted on the inside, and drilled a bunch of holes in it. I've drilled holes for the speaker out here, holes for the buttons on the front, and that's for the USB connection on the side. This is the button bar, and what's going to happen, oh, and this is the speaker tube. I need to take a little bit of double stick and attach the speaker in it like that. And when the button bar is attached to the inside, it's drying now, but when it's attached to the inside, I will be able to push some brass rods down through there and start the sounds. Okay, this is just to demonstrate the power of the tube. I have not changed the audio files at all. I've not improved them. I've not done anything other than stick this old tube on here, but listen to see how much better these sound now.
No, try not. Do. Or do not. There is no try. Judge me by my size, do you? When 900 years old you reach, look as good you will not. You must feel the force around you. Looking. Found someone you have, I would say.
That's just from adding this. What an improvement. And the box is stained. It's out in the outside drying, and once it's finished, or once it's dry really, I'll put a coat of clear, sorry, turn this around. Once it's finished, I'll put a coat of clear polyurethane on it, and it will be ready to go. But let's get back to the robot building. That's why I was supposed to be doing it in the first place before I got slightly derailed into the audio box fun. So let's get back to here. You can see we've got the legs going on here. We've got body parts laying strewn about its layer. And now what I'm going to do is put some of these panels on and put the big leg in and the middle leg in and finish up these bodies. Okay, we're down to the parts that are the same on both droids, namely the bodies. Those are all done now, and all I've got left is this pile of head parts. Interesting quandary is all of these extra pieces for the open doors. It's fair to say that we never really saw the R5 with open doors, even though you can assume it had the same equipment as R2. So I don't feel bad at all about gluing those doors shut and just setting that aside as it is. R2 is a different case. I do want to have these doors. I don't want to glue these doors in. I do want to have these available so that I can, you know, if I feel like putting in a computer terminal one day, I can, or any of these other accoutrements that come with the kit, I can go ahead and put those up. So those will be swapped in and out. I guess I need to make a little box or put them in the box that the sound unit's going to go into as far as keeping the extra parts. I was going to say something about that, and I've lost my train of thought. About the, oh, that's what it was. For all of these extra parts that the kind people at Bandai have given us, I think they're missing something, and it's something that's available on the 3PO, and that is the restraining bolt. I don't believe that the R2 has a restraining bolt, which is kind of odd, especially since these would be, the only time you really saw these two together was right after, or right at the Sandcrawler, and the Jawas would have installed said restraining bolts on both of them at the same time. So I think that's a little bit of an odd thing that they are missing. So I'm going to, I guess, maybe take a little break, get some dinner or something, and let these dry, let these set up, and then come back and tackle the heads, which are really, like I said, the only unique individual parts left. Everything else here is the same on both droids. And here are the three finished droids. Again, like the R2 unit with the restraining bolt, I feel that the nice people at Bandai missed a wonderful opportunity to put the bad motivator on here. The thing that blew up right about there. I mean, that's the only thing that this robot, this droid, is even known for, is for having a bad motivator. So, you know, wouldn't have hurt him to put a bad motivator on it. And a restraining bolt. But these kits are finished for the evening. They have not had any decals put on them or stickers of any sort. There are some of that to be done. I did paint over some of the blue stickered areas, so I won't be using those. But Red here gets quite a few red decals on him, and there's some greebly bits up in here in R2 that need some decals. But that's going to be tomorrow's work, and I'm going to get back to the sound boxes. And this is where we're going to end Saturday evening. It's been a wonderful day of modeling, and I got a heck of a lot done. I've got the two droids built. I have yet to do any last minute decaling on those, but they're ready to go, and I need to dirty them up a bit. I've got the sound box built for Yoda, which is nice. There's a little piece that's supposed to go in to cover all that, but...
No, try not. Do. Or do not.
I had to cut out that speaker hole. I need to touch the paint up there, but...
You must feel the force around you. When 900 years old you reach, look as good you are not looking. No, try not. Do. Or do not give me by my size, do you?
And this little USB port right here means I can change these sounds up as often as I would like. And I can put some goodies in the bottom of that. I'm going to put some lichens and some moss and some distressing on this to make it look properly aged and Dagobah-ish. And that's tomorrow's job. Well, welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. It is Sunday morning, and I'm starting on the, I'm continuing work on the base for the droids. Now, what I've done is I've taken the three stands that come with the kits, and I've joined them together as prescribed, and then I 1 minute epoxied them down to the top of this box that I got yesterday from Michael's that I put a stain on last night. And it's amazingly the perfect size for it. I didn't have to trim anything. What I'm going to do now, though, is put a little bit of epoxy putty to fill in some gaps and kind of blend this angle down to this angle. Then I am going to tape off the front face of this and paint everything from here up with the textured sand paint. And I'm going to leave a spot here for 3PO's foot to go in, so I have to tape that off. But I'm going to go put this epoxy in so that it can be setting up while I'm at church, and when I come back I will get back into the working of it. Okay, and back from church. It's Sunday morning, Sunday slightly afternoon. The sound you hear behind me is the sound of filthy commerce going on. So I have to bug out of this room again. I've got this order that I've got to get done this weekend and get it in the mail tomorrow. So I have adjourned to the other room, and let me show you what I'm up to now. Okay, it is back to the droid building here. Nothing left to do on a lot of these except for the decaling, which has a lot to do with a lot of the heads, ironically, have most of the decals on them. And in some cases, the stickers are actually better, and in some cases, the decals are going to be better. I like the stickers for the metallic look. I think that's a little bit more successful than maybe the decals are, and especially these ones here that go on the head of this. It's kind of hard to see them in place, but trust me, they're there. So I'm going to be tackling some of that. The red I'm going to use the decals for, because I want that smoother finish, and I want some of the staining of the panels to show through that, and I think I'm going to get a better result with the decal than I am with the sticker. And these ones on R5's head I'm certainly going to want to use the decals for. But I like the like on R2 here, I used the sticker for that red circle, and I like that better than the decal. I think it stands out a lot better. Like I said, it's going to be a mix and match. I used the decal or the stickers for the areas behind that blue there. There are 2 or 3 of those that are used blue behind the shape there. And they recommended using the stickers, and I have to agree. I think that's better than the decal would have been. So mix and match, use to your liking. Oh, look what's happening here. Very happy with this. This is the top of the droid box, and I put some putty on the front here, that 2-part epoxy putty on the front to kind of sculpt that edge, and then I hit it with a brown undercoat, and then I really laid on the sand texture, Krylon sand texture, and I just filled in everything. Now this is going to dry the rest of the afternoon. I'm not even going to touch this, probably not even until tomorrow. But I'm really liking what's happening there. It's even causing ripples. You can see them that look like sand. I really like that. Well, the decals are going on, but they're going on very well, but they're not going on very quickly. So I think I'm going to lock it up here for the day. I mean, they're going on nicely, and they're laying down ever so nicely, but I'm not going to be able to paint on top of those or do any weathering on top of those. So I'm going to call it quits on detailing the droids themselves, and I'm going to work a little bit more on the box. But that'll be my report for the droid portion of the proceedings. Okay, here's where we're going to leave the boxes for the weekend. I'm kind of shocked at how well these things are turning out. Not to pat myself too much on the back, but I'm surprised at the high quality of sound you get out of these little greeting card sound cards. And right here is where I will put the web address for anybody who's interested in getting these sound cards. They are fairly cheap for what they do. You get 5 sounds, and each sound can be up to like 120 seconds, I think. I haven't tried the upward edge of the length of sound, but this is the Yoda, and I'll just play one of these.
Is the Force, and the powerful ally it is. Life created.
And there's the grate coming up.
Its energy surrounds us and binds us.
That's pretty good sound quality.
So, not this crude matter.
And here is the USB port to change the sound clips. Now I'm going to paint this up. This still looks a little bit too much like a pirate chest. And I'm going to paint it up and put some moss on it and rot the wood on it a bit so that it looks like it's something that's swamp worthy. And over here is the droid base. Now it's not nearly as pretty inside because of the shape of it. But you can see what that sand looks like. And I'm going to spray some shading of the sand in there just to break it up a little bit. But
C-3PO, human cyborg relations. And this is my counterpart, R2-D2.
Not bad.
No, I don't think he likes you at all. No, I don't like you either.
That's pretty good sound. So that's where we're going to finish these for the weekend. And it's time to draw the curtain closed on another weekend of fine model building. If I had not gotten the big order that I got into do vinyl, I probably would have gotten more done. But I'm happy with the amount that I really got done. These boxes are in great shape, and all I need to do now is to weather them. The droids are done. I've got to touch the details, the decal, decide what things I'm going to paint, what things I'm going to use the decals for, and what things I'm going to use the stickers for. So rather than rush all that, I think I'll just break it out into next week's report, and then we'll pick up something new. But until next time, have a good week, and I will see you right back here next week.
We seem to be made to suffer. It's our lot in life.